Part two of Get to Know Our Seniors. I've got Eric Jackson from Lincoln Southeast. And Eric, I'm going to go through a few questions, just kind of get to know you a little bit here. And question number one, talk to us a little bit, kind of share there as far as why you chose to come to Nebraska Wesleyan.
Why I chose Nebraska Wesleyan? Well, the first time I visited, I met with a political science professor named Dr. Kelly Eaton, and she's not here anymore at Wesleyan. She works in DC, but our conversation basically was I was very interested in political science as a major, and she basically persuaded me that the political science program here at Wesleyan was kind of upper echelon political science department, and she just kind of talked about all these opportunities of other students have been on, such as the CHIP Capitol Hill internship program in DC, and also she kind of just named off a lot of majors a lot of people that had political science majors that went abroad, and I was really interested in doing that. So I would say basketball was a big part of it, but also the political science department here at Wesleyan really factored in.
Okay, so as we continue to kind of talk on your academic major a little bit, you've had a chance to go overseas a few different times.
Yep.
Just kind of maybe share a little bit about each one of those trips, or kind of how that tied a little bit from an academic standpoint also.
Yeah, so the first trip was with the men's basketball team, and we all went to the nation of Estonia, and that was, really incredible. That was for 2 weeks, and played some teams in Estonia, and we also had a little political backdrop in that kind of our sponsor for the trip, Harry Hughey, had a kind of lobbying relationship with the Estonian government before they had independence in 1990 or 91. And that trip was really incredible. And then last year, I went to the nation of Israel with kind of a pro-Israel lobbying group, and I traveled all over Israel. I also went inside Palestine, into the West Bank. I went to Bethlehem, and I went to, I think it's the Church of the Nativity there. And yeah, the Israel trip was really intense. It was for 2 weeks as well, kind of like the Estonian trip. We visited near the Lebanon border, near the Syrian border, into the Golan Heights, looking into kind of northern Syria southern Syria, and it was just a really incredible, spiritually and politically intense trip that really resonated with me today as well. And then the last trip I've been on was not very long ago, and that was in the Republic of Georgia this summer. And I won a Gilman scholarship it's a national scholarship for Pell Grant recipients. I was able to get an internship through this scholarship to the Republic of Georgia with an NGO group, which is a non-governmental organization for people that don't know. And that group was called the Institute for Development of Freedom of Information, IDFI, as the acronym stands. And that group does freedom of information requests for Georgian citizens. They also had some historical projects relating back to Soviet archives, and also did a lot of things with accountability and kind of accountability through an online medium format. So I did work with them for 40 days, and I stayed with the host family in the capital of Georgia, which is Tbilisi. And to say at least is a life-changing internship that got me a lot of professional experience, but also immersed me directly into Georgian culture. And I still have really good connections with some of the Georgian friends I made at IDFI, and also with my host family. So yeah, it's been a busy summer, to say the least.
And I remember even throughout the recruiting process a little bit, Eric, you talked, as you were a senior in high school, you had some interest in possibly studying abroad, doing some of those things. So it looks like you've kind of made the most of your opportunities
definitely.
with some of those travel experiences. As we continue to talk about kind of the academic side a little bit, Eric, what are your plans following graduation? What would you like to get into following graduation?
I honestly have no idea right now. I think kind of the NGO field is looking like a really good option, but I'm kind of leaving everything up on the table for which direction I want to go. It could be an NGO route, or it could be even something local, just maybe a nonprofit group here that I could work with, or it could be going to DC and working for a think tank or some type of policy, geopolitical group. So really all the options are on the table right now, and I believe September 28th I'm going to an international job fair hosted at UNO, and hopefully there I can send out my resume and see kind of where that takes me. But it's nice, it's wide open, it's not set at all, and I kind of appreciate that right now, this time in my life. So.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit. We'll kind of continue to move into some different things here, Eric. But maybe talk about your favorite on-campus activity. What obviously you spend quite a bit of time studying. Spend quite a bit of time from a basketball perspective. We also encourage guys to maybe get involved, maybe take some different leadership positions on campus. Is there anything that maybe you can share as far as your time kind of outside of academics and also outside of athletics?
Yeah, I'm not really affiliated with any campus groups per se. I've been to a couple international relations organization meetings, but I'm really not into too many clubs, just through time management and so forth. But some activities I like on campus are frolfing, which is frisbee golfing. There's a nice little course here in Wesleyan's campus, and I've probably played it 100 times or so, and that's always a good time with buddies. And even some of my UNL friends will come to Wesleyan, and they enjoy kind of the smaller atmosphere, kind of relaxed instead of the bustling city atmosphere they're used to. But I'd say that, and also probably around 2 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be in the library, second floor, taking a nap on one of the couches. So that's where you'll find me at 2 p.m.
So that's the quiet
every
place?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, yep.
Obviously, you grew up in Lincoln. What's maybe your favorite place to eat in Lincoln?
Favorite place to eat? It's really easy. Grisanti's. That's my favorite place. That's my go-to place for really going out anywhere for food, for dates, or even just family gatherings. But Grisanti's, this Italian restaurant, I think on 70th and O, and yeah, it's definitely my favorite place. I come from an Italian background as well, so they kind of match very well, I'd say. So
Okay.
Grisanti's by a long mile.
All right. Eric, what about NBA? Do you follow much of the NBA? Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite team, favorite player?
Yeah, I love the NFL more. I love the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs for NFL, but for my favorite NBA player, I love LeBron James. I'm a bandwagon Heat fan. I joined the bandwagon 3 years ago, and I'm not, I don't care what other people say about that. I'm a Heat fan, and I like LeBron a lot. I think people hate on LeBron way too much, and his talent and kind of his athletic assets they're the best in the world.
Okay. But you're not a bandwagon Chiefs fan.
No,
Through and through?
I've been a Chiefs fan since the day I was born, I swear. So.
Okay. Let's talk as we're talking a little bit about sports, Eric. What would be maybe your most memorable basketball experience here at Nebraska Wesleyan?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd say, I don't know, always playing at the Corn Palace in Mitchell, South Dakota. That's always a fun treat. But I think one of the better moments was, maybe sophomore year at Dome. I think Andy Schweitzer had a really big game that year, and it was really intense. They kind of had like their students kind of standing right on the out of bounds line, so they're really in our faces and saying some unpleasant comments in front of their AD, ironically enough. But we pulled that game out. It was really intense, and I think that was a great moment. Also, I think last year's Dort game as well. was a really intense battle, and glad we won both of those.
Yeah, kind of hitting that last second shot there as well. You probably even go back to even your sophomore year, your freshman year coming here against Midland, your sophomore year up at Northwestern Minnesota. Kind of late in that game, so you're making a run. You hit a late 3 in that game as well too. Probably a few that come to my mind.
Yeah,
also.
that game. A kid from my high school team was actually played for Northwestern Minnesota. Yeah, that was a really good game.
Yeah, they had a good team.
Also playing him, that was a great
Gabe
team.
was a good player.
Yeah, he was.
Eric, any traditions, any pregame rituals that you do kind of normally before a contest, before a game?
I really don't have any traditions, but I think for me it's getting the right balance of music before games, just listening to kind of a good amount of pump-up music, but you don't want to get too pumped up before, so I kind of like I like upbeat tempo music that has a little edge, but not too hard. So I think finding the balance in the music is probably my biggest tradition. Ritual.
Key to balance on the playing floor
Yes,
as well?
definitely.
Last question for Eric. What do you think you miss most about Nebraska Wesleyan? You've been involved in a lot of different things. What are you going to miss most?
It's loaded, but I think I'm going to miss, I think the atmosphere of campus in general, being a small community that, everyone knows everyone. And even just walking through our campus aesthetically, it's a beautiful campus, has a lot of trees, a lot of shrubbery, and it looks beautiful in the spring, and the fall weather is also really pleasant. Just hanging out on campus and seeing familiar faces every time is something I'm definitely going to miss.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, that concludes our segment with Eric Jackson, part 2 of Get to Know Your Seniors.